Imagine this. The night sky feels quiet, but there is a new presence gliding silently above us, a visitor that looks ordinary, yet whispers of something more. Tonight, we start with the thought that perhaps what we see is not always what it seems. 3I Atlas has entered our solar system with the stillness of a secret, dressed in the familiar cloak of a comet, its emerald glow brushing softly against the darkness. It is a picture that feels peaceful, even beautiful, but if you lean into the silence, you might sense a question hiding underneath. Could this gentle wanderer be more than just ice and rock? Could it be a story written in disguise, a Trojan horse drifting through the heavens? You can close your eyes now and let your body settle deeper into rest. Feel the rhythm of your breath, steady and slow. In this space, you and I are not rushing toward answers. We are simply floating alongside the comet, like quiet passengers tracing its path across the infinite sea. When astronomers first spotted 3I Atlas, it seemed unremarkable, just another piece of cosmic debris, harmless and small. Yet the idea of the Trojan horse has always reminded us that appearances are part of the trick. The Greeks once welcomed a beautiful gift into their city, unaware of the soldiers hidden inside. What if the universe plays similar games, offering us objects that look natural but carry hidden intentions? The beauty of this thought isn't in fear but in wonder. The Trojan horse story teaches us not only about deception, but also about patience strategy and the power of timing. A simple wooden statue brought down a mighty city, not by force, but by the quiet unfolding of a plan. And now, as you listen, picture 3I Atlas sailing slowly through the blackness, its glow like a candle flickering in the vast cathedral of space. It waits, it drifts, it watches. Nothing about it screams danger, yet everything about it invites curiosity. And that curiosity is what makes the story so calming to explore. As you rest, imagine standing under the stars, looking up at that green shimmer. It is far away, impossibly far, but it feels close because you are thinking about it. In this quiet moment, you realize that our place in the cosmos is fragile. We depend on satellites for weather communication, even the timing of our days. What if something as small and silent as this comet held the power to disrupt all of it? That thought, strange as it is, doesn't need to frighten you tonight. Instead, let it settle softly like a gentle wave of possibility. The unknown can be frightening, yes, but it can also be lulling, like the sound of rain tapping at your window. The Trojan horse in the sky may be nothing more than ice dust and sunlight, but in the realm of what if, it becomes a symbol of how the universe might hold secrets in plain sight. And as you breathe slowly now, you can let that thought carry you into a deeper calm. The idea that the mysteries above are vast, patient, and quiet, just like the night itself. We are only beginning this journey, and there will be many more questions to explore. For now, rest easy in the whisper of the sky, knowing that the story is unfolding gently, one starry page at a time. Picture this. You are sitting at home, maybe with the quiet hum of an evening news program in the background, when suddenly every screen flickers. Your phone buzzes once, then falls silent. The GPS in your car refuses to find its way. What you thought was the steady heartbeat of modern life, the invisible pulse of satellites, timing signals, and digital communication, slips into stillness. This is not happening, not tonight, but imagine if it did. Imagine if the very fabric of our daily systems unraveled not with explosions or fire, but with silence. That is the essence of a doomsday shadow, the kind that moves softly, invisibly, until it is everywhere at once. And above you, far beyond the atmosphere, 3I Atlas glides. In the stillness of the night sky, its body seems like a harmless comet glowing faintly green. But in this thought experiment, it unfurls like a metallic flower, its delicate arms stretching wider and wider. Nothing violent, Nothing loud, just the quiet expansion of something hidden, waiting for the right moment to be seen. Like the soldiers inside the wooden horse at Troy, its strength lies not in force, but in patience. And you feel yourself leaning into the thought, what if all of this, every satellite orbiting Earth, every system that tells us where we are, is part of a game we didn't know we were playing? Let your breathing soften here. Inhale gently as if you are pulling in the cool air of a starry night. Exhale slowly, letting the tension fade with each breath. You realize that civilization rests on invisible threads. Threads spun across the sky by satellites only a few hundred miles above. They guide airplanes safely through clouds, direct ships across oceans, synchronize the trading of financial markets, and even keep your morning alarm accurate to the second. Without them, life doesn't end, but it bends into something unrecognizable. Weather forecasts would stumble into guesswork. Communication would lag. Markets would shiver. Emergency services would move more slowly. All because of fragile strands dangling in the black sky. The thought of it could be frightening, but in this calm moment, you can let it become a meditation instead. A meditation on how fragile and miraculous modern life really is. The quiet reliance we have on things we rarely see, rarely think about. A single disruption could ripple across every continent, like the soft ringing of a bell spreading outward into silence. And so you find yourself reflecting, if 3i Atlas were more than it seems. If it carried a hidden purpose, what better way to announce itself than by simply stopping what we take for granted? No dramatic explosions, no invasion fleets, just stillness, just silence. As you close your eyes, imagine standing on a hillside looking up at the comet's glow. The night is quiet. The stars shimmer faintly, and the world beneath feels both fragile and beautiful. Even in imagining doomsday, you find peace in the awareness that everything is connected, every signal, every thread, every heartbeat of technology. If those threads were cut, humanity would have to find older rhythms again, guided not by satellites, but by the slow wisdom of the Earth itself. That too is a kind of reminder, a gentle lesson hidden in the story of the Trojan Horse in the sky. For now, let that thought drift across your mind like a cloud passing over the moon. You are safe, resting, watching from a distance. The comet sails on, and life continues. And as you breathe deeply, you can feel yourself sinking into the comfort of knowing that every possibility, even the shadow of doomsday, can be softened when you hold it gently in thought, like a dream you can set aside until morning. Think of how rare it is for us to receive visitors from beyond our own star. In the long life of the solar system, stretching over 4.5 billion years, only 3 such travelers have been confirmed. The first was Oumuamua in 2017, long and mysterious, slipping past us before we even had time to study it properly. The second was 2i Borisov in 2019, a more familiar comet carrying a long shining tail. And now 3i Atlas, the third, drifting silently into our awareness in 2025. 3 cosmic guests, each one a message in a bottle, washed ashore from another world. Imagine standing by an infinite ocean and finding such a bottle. You open it, but the words are written in a language you cannot read. That is what interstellar visitors are like: precious, fleeting, and forever mysterious. You breathe gently now, letting that thought settle. 3 objects in decades may not sound like much, yet each one reshapes our sense of place in the universe. When Oumuamua appeared, it was so unusual that scientists debated whether it might even be artificial. Its strange acceleration, its shape so unlike anything we had seen before, made it feel like a whisper from another intelligence. Borisov, by contrast, soothed us. It looked like a natural comet, reassuringly familiar, as if to remind us that the universe can be strange, but also predictable. And now, Atlas brings both comfort and unease. It glows, green, It looks like a comet, yet the timing of its arrival feels uncanny. Right as humanity begins to stretch its arms into space with reusable rockets, lunar plans and dreams of Mars, here comes a visitor from far away, quiet, patient, and perfectly placed for us to notice. The rhythm of your breath is steady, and in that rhythm, you can hear the patience of these objects. Atlas may have wandered for millions of years through the cold, dark between stars, passing through silence deeper than anything we can imagine. To drift for so long is to carry a story older than humanity itself, older than civilization, perhaps older than complex life on Earth. And now it is here, brushing past our home with a casualness that feels almost deliberate. You can picture it as a traveler, pausing at the edge of a village, not entering, not speaking, but standing still long enough for everyone to wonder why here, why now. Let your mind drift with that image. Perhaps these three visitors are part of a pattern not random at all. Perhaps we are only beginning to notice what has always been there. Astronomers admit that for every interstellar object, we detect many more slip past unnoticed. Our instruments are limited, our surveys still young. The sky is vast, and we are only now learning how to listen. That thought should not frighten you. It should soothe you, like the quiet realization that you are not alone in a dark room. The universe, it seems, is filled with wanderers. Some pass by unseen, some reveal themselves, and each one carries pieces of other suns, other worlds, other beginnings. And so as you sink deeper into rest, remember this: three interstellar visitors in just a short span of human time suggest that the cosmos is not empty. It is busy, alive, with motion, rich with stories traveling across unimaginable distances. Atlas is only the third messenger, but it may not be the last. Perhaps one day, we will learn to read their language, to understand what they are carrying. Until then, we can let the mystery comfort us, like the steady glow of a lamp at night. Always there, always quiet, always reminding us of the vastness beyond our walls. When you look up at the night sky and see a glow of green, it feels both familiar and strange. Green is the color of life, of forests and springtime, of signals that tell us go and lights that show us the way out. But in the darkness above, far beyond our atmosphere, green becomes something else, something uncanny, shimmering like a lantern, carried by a traveler we do not know. 3i Atlas wears this emerald veil as it drifts past the sun, glowing with a radiance that scientists explain as excited carbon molecules. A simple process, they assure us, chemistry, playing out exactly as expected. And yet, for those who watch with quiet wonder, the glow stirs questions. Could it be more than a chemical trick? Could it be a kind of message, hidden in plain sight, written not in words, but in color? As you breathe slowly, let that color unfold in your imagination. Picture a faint green mist stretching across the blackness, soft like silk, but humming with quiet purpose. Amateur astronomers with telescopes in their backyards point their lenses upward and capture photographs that spread across the internet. They marvel at the beauty of it, the soft emerald fire flickering against the stars. Some dismiss it as ordinary, others whisper that it feels like a signal. The mind drifts easily into stories when confronted with something so beautiful, because beauty often feels deliberate, as if chosen. And here, in this calm moment, you can rest inside that thought without rushing to answer it. The timing of the glow makes it even more compelling. Just as Atlas passes nearest to the sun, the green intensifies, pulsing brighter, as though the comet itself is responding to the warmth of a star. To scientists, this is predictable physics. Ice turning to vapor molecules, colliding light released. But in the what if of night thoughts, it becomes something more. Imagine tiny devices smaller than dust, riding on those streams of gas. Imagine them scattering like seeds on the solar wind, drifting outward, spreading silently into the system. Seeds do not shout their arrival. They drift, they settle, they wait. And so the green could be more than light. It could be distribution like pollen carried on a breeze. Take a deep breath now and exhale slowly. You are safe, you are resting, and the story is only a dreamscape to lull you deeper. Think of how many generations have looked to the sky and seen lights that felt like omens. Comets were once feared as signs of war, of famine, of the fall of kings. The aurora was seen as divine fire. Today we see with instruments, with science, with equations. Yet the feeling is the same. Green fire in the sky touches something ancient in us, something primal that remembers wonder and fear as two sides of the same coin. And so as you lie quietly, let that duality wash over you. The emerald light of Atlas is both ordinary and extraordinary, both natural and possibly something else. You don't need to decide. You can simply rest with the image of a glowing visitor trailing its luminous veil across the heavens. It asks nothing of you except attention. And in paying attention you are reminded that the cosmos still holds mysteries that soften the edges of certainty. The green shimmer fades slowly as the comet drifts on, but in your mind it lingers, gentle, glowing, like a nightlight at the edge of sleep. Think of the art of hiding in plain sight. On Earth, animals have always practiced camouflage. Moths, blending into tree bark fish, shimmering with the colors of the sea owls disappearing against the bark of ancient oaks. In the vastness of space, what better camouflage could there be than a comet? A body of ice and dust glowing softly as it nears a star, shedding its skin in plumes of vapor and light. If you wanted to send something across the galaxy, unnoticed, wrapping it inside the shell of a comet would be the perfect disguise. As you breathe deeply, now imagine what that might look like. Perhaps long ago, an advanced civilization took a real comet nucleus, just ice rock and dust, and folded their instruments inside it. The technology, carefully woven into the natural structure, sleeps as the comet drifts through the dark. No signal, no motion, nothing to reveal it. Only when the comet brushes close to a sun does the disguise awaken, powered by warmth, concealed by the very chemistry that makes it look ordinary. To us, the glow seems natural. To them, it is the curtain behind which their work continues unseen. This thought, far from frightening, can be strangely calming, because it reminds you how vast and intricate the universe is, and how much patience might be required for journeys that last millions of years. If such probes exist, they would not rush. They would not need to. They would simply wait, letting ice carry them until the time was right. In that patience, there is a lesson for us too, that sometimes the quietest strategies are the strongest, and sometimes what looks simple is anything but. Let your mind drift now to the wooden horse at Troy. The Greeks could not breach the walls, so they built something that seemed harmless, even beautiful. A gift, they said. A tribute. The Trojans wheeled it inside their gates, never realizing that its true purpose lay hidden within. The genius was not in the weapon itself, but in the disguise. The same principle could apply among the stars. If 3i Atlas were more than it seemed, it would not come roaring with fire and fleets. It would come as something we wanted to study, something we welcomed into our gaze. A comet is exactly that. The beauty of this possibility lies in how well it matches our expectations. We expect comets to glow, to shed gas, to flicker unpredictably. They are messy, inconsistent, and difficult to predict. And in that chaos lies perfect cover. Anything unusual, a shift in brightness, a wobble in motion, can be explained away as natural. Just as the wooden horse seemed a monument, just as malware hides in harmless files, so too could a comet be the mask of something far more deliberate. Breathe softly now, and let yourself feel the ease of not needing to know. Whether Atlas is ice or instrument wanderer or watcher, the effect on you tonight is the same. It drifts, it glows, and it reminds you of how small and wondrous our place is beneath the stars. Camouflage is not only a trick, it is also a story, a reminder that appearances are never the whole truth. And as you let that thought settle, you can feel yourself slipping deeper into rest, trusting that the mysteries of the cosmos will unfold in their own time, gently like a curtain lifting at the edge of a dream. The story of the Trojan Horse has lived for nearly 3,000 years, passed down through poetry, song, and whispers by firelight. It is more than a tale of war. It is a lesson about trust, about patience, and about the power of appearances. Picture Troy, a city with walls so strong that armies could not break them. For 10 long years the Greeks tried and failed. Then came the horse, towering and beautiful, left behind as a supposed tribute. The Trojans, weary from endless siege, convinced themselves it was a gift. They rolled it inside their gates, lit their torches in celebration, and slept. And when they slept, the hidden truth emerged. The gates opened, the soldiers poured out, and Troy fell before dawn. As you breathe gently, now think of why this story endures. Not because of its violence, but because of its simplicity. The most powerful weapon was not a sword or a spear, but a trick. The horse looked harmless. It looked like something to be cherished, not feared. That is why the lesson still resonates. Deception works best when it gives us what we want to believe. We want to see beauty, safety, victory. We want to think we are secure. And so the horse, more than any weapon, was a mirror held up to human desire. Now let that thought drift toward the stars. Imagine that same principle written across the sky. If an intelligence older than ours wanted to study us, perhaps even influence us, it would not come loudly. It would not arrive with ships and banners. It would come quietly, in a form we would accept without question. A comet glowing softly, carrying the signs. We expect a trail of dust, a halo of gas, a green shimmer in the dark. We would welcome it into our telescopes, into our science, into our stories. Just as the Trojans opened their gates, we would open our eyes, never suspecting that what we see might not be the whole truth. In this calm moment, you can breathe into the lesson: camouflage and patience, timing and trust. The horse reminds us that what seems harmless can change the fate of a city, and perhaps what seems ordinary in the heavens could hold possibilities beyond our imagination. That thought need not bring fear. Instead, let it soothe you like a gentle reminder to stay curious, to remember that the universe is layered with mysteries. The story of Troy lulls us because it feels familiar, the quiet turning of fortunes, the reminder that nothing is ever only what it seems. So rest easy now. Let the image of the horse fade into the glow of the comet, two symbols across time that speak the same language of disguise. Whether in wood or in ice, whether in the walls of a city or the silence of space, the lesson remains. Trust is beautiful, but it is also fragile. And as you sink deeper into sleep, you carry with you the quiet strength of knowing that every story, even one of deception, can guide us gently toward greater awareness. Think back to October of 2017, when astronomers first spotted a strange visitor drifting through the solar system. They named it Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning a messenger from afar arriving first. The name felt prophetic because this object was unlike anything seen before. Long, thin, almost like a cosmic cigar. It spun slowly as it traveled, and stranger still, it seemed to accelerate as it moved away from the sun, something natural objects are not supposed to do. For weeks, telescopes turned to follow it. For months, papers were written, debates, filled conferences, and the world briefly wondered, had we just seen our first sign of technology from another star? Breathe softly as you imagine that moment. The night sky was unchanged. The stars still burned, as they always have. But in the data, something was different. Some said it was a fragment of a shattered planet, flattened and tossed across interstellar space. Others suggested it might be a piece of ice, shaped like a pancake, so thin that sunlight alone could push it. And some quietly wondered if it was a probe. No engines, no signals, just a silent body drifting, yet perhaps drifting with purpose. The thought was never proven, but it lingered like a whisper in the background. Now let your mind drift to the connection between Oumuamua and Atlas. If Oumuamua was the first messenger, Borisov, the second, then Atlas is the third. Each one a note in a melody that is only beginning. Maybe it is all coincidence. Or maybe the universe sends its messages not in a single word, but in a series of echoes, each visitor carrying part of a story. Oumuamua startled us. Borisov reassured us. Atlas, glowing green, unsettles us again. The rhythm feels almost deliberate, like footsteps approaching, each one a little clearer than the last. As you rest, picture Oumuamua gliding quietly into the dark. By the time we realized what it was already leaving too distant for detailed study. That, too, was a lesson. Our instruments were not ready, our surveys too limited. We had the messenger, but we missed most of what it could tell us. That missed opportunity left behind a kind of ache, a reminder that sometimes the greatest mysteries appear and vanish before we can understand them, and yet the memory of Oumuamua prepared us. When Atlas came, we were already watching, already asking different questions. Breathe in deeply now, and feel the comfort in knowing that even unanswered mysteries serve a purpose. They sharpen our curiosity. They teach us to listen more closely. Oumuamua was strange, but its strangeness reminded us that the universe is not bound to our expectations. It moves in ways that stretch imagination, ways that keep us humble beneath the stars. Whether it was a shard of rock or a hidden machine, it carried the same gift, wonder. And wonder is what guides us quietly, gently into the unknown. So let the echo of Oumuamua soothe you tonight. Its long shadow has passed, but its story lingers. It reminds you that every visitor, first, second, third, leaves ripples in our understanding, ripples that widen like circles on water until even in the silence we feel them. And as you close your eyes, you carry that ripple with you, drifting calmly into dreams where the universe is vast, patient, and full of messengers yet to come. Names carry power. When astronomers chose the name Atlas for this third interstellar visitor, they were simply following convention. The telescopes that discovered it belonged to the Atlas Survey, a project designed to watch the skies for asteroids. Yet by chance, the name reached back into ancient Greek myth, where Atlas was the titan condemned to hold up the heavens forever. You can almost feel the weight of that image, shoulders, straining head, bowed, the entire sky balanced above him. A burden, both eternal and inescapable. And now, drifting into our solar system comes an object carrying the same name, as though myth and science had quietly converged. Take a slow breath. Imagine Atlas the Titan, standing at the edge of the world, gazing upward with unending duty. Now, picture 3. I Atlas, glowing green against the darkness, also bearing a burden. Though we do not know what it island, is it coincidence? Probably. But in the soft poetic light of bedtime thoughts, it feels meaningful. The Titan carried the heavens. The comet carries secrets. One punished, one wandering, both symbols of endurance across time. Myth has always guided how we see the sky. We named planets after gods, constellations after heroes, comets after the discoverers who caught them in their telescopes. But deep down, we still respond to the stories. The word Atlas does not feel like a sterile label. It feels like destiny, like a reminder that the cosmos itself can be heavy with meaning. As you rest, you can let that connection soothe you. Science tells us what the Comet Island myth reminds us what it might mean. And in that meeting place, you can drift gently between knowledge and imagination. There is also something quietly fitting about where 3I Atlas came from. It entered our solar system from the outer darkness, a place beyond familiar maps where the stars are distant and the void stretches unbroken. In myth, Atlas stood at the edge of the known world, holding up the sky where the ocean met infinity. The parallel is striking two Atlases, one in myth and one in reality, each stationed at the threshold between what is known and what lies beyond. Breathe in deeply and let that parallel feel like a story written across the ages. Perhaps names are simply human inventions, or perhaps they are gentle coincidences that remind us of patterns we cannot yet see. In myth, Atlas was eventually turned into stone, becoming mountains that still stand today. In reality, our Atlas will drift on, leaving behind questions that become part of our own memory. Both endure in silence. Both transform over time. Both carry burdens we can only imagine. As you let your body grow heavier with rest, think of this. We look at the stars and give them names to bring them closer, to make the vastness feel like home. Atlas is not just a comet. It is a bridge between myth and cosmos, a reminder that every object in the sky is also a story. And tonight, that story holds you quietly, gently, like the arms of a titan, carrying the heavens while you drift into sleep. Every observation of the night sky begins with noise. The hiss of radio static, the flicker of starlight through the atmosphere, the small imperfections of our instruments, all of it mixes together until the real signal is almost hidden. Astronomers train their eyes and machines to separate what is true from what is accidental. With 3I Atlas, that task feels even more delicate, because what if the noise itself carries meaning? What if buried inside the flicker of light and the shifting green glow, there is something waiting to be noticed? Take a soft breath now. Imagine a telescope pointed upward, its mirror, catching the faint light of the comet. At first, the readings look ordinary carbon molecules, excited by the sun dust scattering the glow of a natural traveler. But then patterns begin to appear. Small, almost invisible regularities, tiny pulses in brightness, intervals that repeat colors that shift just slightly off what physics alone would predict. One moment could be dismissed as chance, 2 moments as coincidence. But as they accumulate, they begin to look like intention. This is where the imagination drifts. What if the comet's outgassing is more than random? What if jets of vapor, timed and shaped, serve as a kind of language invisible to us but obvious to anyone who knows how to read it? To our eyes, it is chaos. To another intelligence, it could be sentences, paragraphs, perhaps even entire histories written in the glow, like whispers woven into static, waiting for someone with patience to hear them. And you, lying quietly, now can feel the comfort in that idea, because whether or not the signals are real, the thought itself is soothing. It reminds us that we do not yet know everything, that the universe still holds mysteries too subtle for us to detect. Just as ancient sailors once saw constellations where others saw only stars, we too might be overlooking, meaning hiding in plain sight. The noise is not emptiness, it is a sea of possibilities. Radio telescopes around the world listen to the sky, and often they find nothing unusual. But absence is not certainty. Perhaps the signals are too faint, too cleverly hidden. Perhaps they are disguised within the very frequencies we dismiss as background. Imagine for a moment that Atlas uses the hiss of its own gases as a carrier wave embedding information, the way a musician hides melody inside harmony. To us, it is static. To them, it might be song. Let yourself drift with that image. A song hidden in the noise patient, waiting, stretching across space until the right ears can hear it. Maybe we are not yet ready to understand. Maybe the signals will only become clear when we develop new ways of listening. That thought is not threatening. It is comforting, like knowing that the universe is already speaking to us softly, kindly, even if we do not yet understand the words. As you rest deeper into the night, think of how every sound, every flicker, every pulse could hold more than it seems. The sky above is not silent. It hums with signals and noise with possibilities we have not yet learned to untangle. And 3i Atlas, glowing green and steady, might be part of that quiet conversation. You do not need to solve it now. You only need to drift with it, letting the idea of hidden messages carry you gently towards sleep, like a lullaby sung in a language you cannot yet translate. When imagination meets the stars, the possibilities multiply, like sparks in the dark. If 3i Atlas were more than a simple comet, what might it truly be? The thought is not meant to frighten you, but to soothe you with wonder, as though you are lying beneath a sky filled with stories instead of threats. So tonight, let us drift gently through some of the scenarios people have whispered about, dreamlike sketches of what a cosmic Trojan horse might hold. Breathe slowly. The first vision is of tiny machines, smaller than dust carried within the icy heart of the comet. As sunlight warms them, they wake and scatter into space, drifting like pollen on the wind. They form a net across the sky, watching quietly, never announcing themselves, only listening. To us, they would be invisible. To them, we would be clear as day. The second scenario feels like snow. Imagine that as the comet passes, countless tiny seeds fall softly toward Earth grains, no larger than sand, too small to notice. They land in oceans, in soil, in the air we breathe. They sleep for years, perhaps centuries, waiting for a signal that has not yet arrived. Like lanterns unlit, they hold their glow in silence until the moment comes. Now, exhale gently and picture another vision, signals woven into the frequencies of our own satellites. Imagine 3i Atlas, broadcasting softly, not loudly enough to alarm us, but just enough to slip into the channels we already use. Our systems might falter, not dramatically but gradually, navigation becoming slightly less precise, weather forecasts a little less clear. It would feel like nothing more than ordinary malfunction, while all along the strings of our networks were being tuned from afar. There are wilder dreams too, shimmering like mirages. Some imagine Atlas as a kind of time editor, nudging history in subtle ways, shaping outcomes without our ever noticing. Others see it as a factory, using its own icy body to build smaller travelers, each one heading off to a new destination. And some imagine it as a doorway, an opening not just to another place in space, but to another dimension altogether, where the laws of physics turn strange and soft, like the logic of dreams. As you rest, let these visions pass over you like clouds across the moon. None of them need to be real. Their power lies in possibility, in stretching our thoughts beyond what we know. Each scenario is like a lullaby of wonder, reminding you that the universe is more mysterious than it seems, and that the unknown can be gentle, even calming. So tonight, think of 3i Atlas, not as a threat but as a storyteller. Each green shimmer, each quiet drift through the void, is another page in a story we do not yet understand. Whether it hides tiny machines, quiet seeds, or nothing at all, it still gives us the gift of imagining. And as you drift deeper into sleep, that gift is enough. Now imagine the sky itself as high ground. On Earth, armies have always sought the hilltops, the cliffs, the vantage points where vision reaches farther. But in space, the highest ground is orbit, and nothing is higher than the steady path above our fragile planet. If 3i Atlas were more than a comet, if it chose to linger near Earth rather than sail past, it would hold a position of power unlike anything we know. From there it could watch, it could influence, and perhaps it could turn our own systems into instruments of confusion. Breathe in deeply now, and let that thought settle softly. Think of the satellites circling our planet, glowing like tiny lanterns in the night. They keep time for our markets, guide our planes through clouds, warn us of storms before they arrive. Without them, we would be slower, less certain, a little more vulnerable to the moods of nature. But what if those satellites were not destroyed, only misled? A signal sent from above could make clocks drift by a second, then two, then more. Flights could lose their paths. Banks could fall out of sync. The world would not end, but it would stumble as though someone had quietly pulled a single thread from a tapestry. Exhale gently. Picture the weather satellite's eyes in the sky that watch storms grow. If their vision were blurred, if the data they sent down was just slightly wrong, cities might be caught unprepared. A hurricane might seem weaker than its island. A tornado might seem farther away. And once again, nothing would explode. No battles would be fought. Only errors and silence, leaving us to wonder what had gone wrong. This is the nature of a weaponized orbit. It does not need to strike with fire. It only needs to bend the delicate structures we already depend upon. And in that bending lies its subtlety. We might call it malfunction. We might call it coincidence. All the while, the quiet presence above would know exactly what it was doing. Let your body rest heavier. Now, for this is only a dream of possibilities. If Atlas were such a watcher, its greatest strength would not be its power, but its patience. To wait silently to alter little things that grow into larger ripples, to use doubt itself as a tool. For when we cannot tell whether failures are natural or artificial, we hesitate, and in that hesitation lies the deepest kind of influence. But remember, these are only what-ifs. The comet sails on green and glowing, more likely a natural traveler than anything else. Still, the thought reminds us of how fragile our high ground is, how thin the threads of orbit truly are. And as you close your eyes tonight, you can let that thought cradle you into sleep, the image of a quiet sky full of satellites, circling endlessly delicate and beautiful, while far beyond, a single visitor drifts past silent and patient, carrying mysteries we may never know. History teaches us that deception rarely arrives all at once. It comes in layers, in patient steps, each one building trust before the truth is revealed. The Trojan Horse was not dragged into Troy on the first day of battle. It appeared after years of struggle, when weariness had dulled suspicion. In the same way, if Atlas were a kind of cosmic horse, it might not come alone. Instead, it could be the first of many, the beginning of a quiet procession, a fleet hidden in plain sight, drifting across decades. Breathe slowly now. Imagine a timeline unfolding like a ribbon of light. In 2017 came Oumuamua, strange and fleeting. In 2019 came Borisov, more familiar, almost comforting. In 2025 came Atlas, green and patient. And perhaps, in the years ahead, others will follow, each one a little closer, each one a little more unusual. At first, they might look random, just natural wanderers slipping into our solar system. But when plotted together, their paths could form patterns, gentle lines across the map of the sky, a geometry too precise to be coincidence. Let that picture drift across your mind. Not a single ship, not a single threat, but a slow gathering of travelers, each disguised as a comet, each carrying part of a larger design. From our perspective, decades apart feels like a lifetime. But to an intelligence older than stars, decades are only moments, patient strokes, of a brush painting a picture too vast for us to see all at once. Exhale gently. In one vision, this fleet is watchful, its members spreading across the solar system like lanterns, quietly observing Earth, Mars, the moons of Jupiter, every corner of our neighborhood. In another vision, it is more peaceful, a grand survey of life mapping how civilizations grow, recording how intelligence flickers like fireflies on different worlds. Whether for study or for something more, the beauty of this idea lies in its patience. The universe does not rush, neither would they. As you rest, think of how easily such a plan could unfold unnoticed. Each new visitor sparks curiosity, then fades from memory as it drifts away. We tell ourselves they are natural, and perhaps they are. But in the quiet of night, we allow the thought, what if they are connected? What if they are pieces of a single story being written across centuries? Let your body grow heavier now, soothed by the calm rhythm of these imaginings. A Trojan fleet moving slowly hidden in plain sight, teaching us the value of patience and humility. We do not need to know the truth tonight. We only need to drift with the possibility like leaves on a quiet stream, carried forward gently by the current of time. And in that drifting, you can find rest comforted by the thought that whatever these visitors are, they remind us that the universe is vast, mysterious, and endlessly full of stories waiting to be told. The most enduring lessons of deception are always the simplest. The horse at Troy was not extraordinary wood or brilliant engineering. It was the story wrapped around it that made it powerful. The Trojans wanted to believe they had won. They wanted to believe the war was over, and so they opened their gates. History has repeated that pattern in countless ways. In every age, the most effective trick has been to give people what they are already longing to see. Breathe slowly now, and let your body sink deeper into rest. Think of how often deception hides in plain sight. In the Cold War, satellites launched as scientific missions turned out to be eyes in the sky gathering intelligence. Harmless files sent over early computers carried hidden code that turned entire systems into tools for someone else. Even in our daily lives, scams succeed not because of brilliance, but because of desire. The desire to see a gift, a bargain, a solution too easy to resist. Each example is another echo of the horse, a reminder that trust and curiosity can be pathways for both wonder and risk. Now imagine carrying that lesson upward into the cosmos. If 3i Atlas were artificial, if it carried technology beneath its icy shell, the disguise would not need to be perfect. It would only need to be believable. A comet already fits what we expect: irregular, unpredictable, glowing green, in ways that feel strange yet natural. Each flicker of light, each wobble of its path, could be dismissed as just comet behavior. And because we want to believe in natural explanations, because they reassure us, we would accept it the way Troy accepted the horse. Exhale gently. This is not a story meant to frighten but to comfort, because deception also reveals our strengths. It shows how deeply we value trust, how eager we are to share and to believe. Even the possibility that a comet could be more than it seems reminds us of how curious we are, how unwilling to let mystery pass without thought. That curiosity is not weakness. It is the very spark that makes us human, the same spark that will one day let us understand what we now call impossible. So, rest with that thought. History has always warned us about deception, but it has also shown us that even when deceived, we learn. Each trick, each hidden truth, makes us wiser. Whether in the streets of Troy, in the shadows of the Cold War, or in the green glow of a comet, the pattern remains. We are tested, we are fooled, and then we grow. Tonight, let that cycle be a lullaby. The universe may hide things from us, but every hidden thing is also a lesson, a quiet teacher, waiting for us to notice. And as you close your eyes, think of deception, not as a threat, but as a gentle reminder that truth is always deeper than appearances. Every glow, every whisper, every story we tell about the sky carries layers we may not yet see. That too is a comfort, that the cosmos is always bigger than our understanding, always inviting us to look closer, to listen longer, and to dream beyond the walls we build around certainty. Imagine for a moment that the disguise does not last forever. The Trojan horse in Troy did not remain closed. It opened when the city slept. What if 3i Atlas carried the same quiet secret, waiting only for the right moment to unfold? The thought is not to alarm you, but to let your mind wander gently into possibility, the way dreams open doors that waking life keeps closed. Breathe in softly now. Picture the night sky calm and dark, when suddenly the green glow brightens. At first it is subtle, like a candle flame flickering. Then it grows pulsing in patterns, too precise to be chance, too structured to be natural. From its heart, the surface shifts and peels, not like ice breaking, but like petals unfurling. A flower of metal and crystal, opening against the stars vast enough to eclipse constellations. You are only watching from a distance, safe in your place of rest, seeing it as a dreamer might marvel, not fear. Exhale gently. In this vision, smaller lights drift away, leaving the main body behind. They move with purpose, as if guided by unseen hands. Some arc toward the moon, some toward Mars, some scatter outward like sparks across the solar system. Our instruments would detect them, yes, but too late to call them strange. The sky would ripple with signals that we cannot decode, mathematical rhythms, woven into radio-static transmissions, humming at frequencies we never thought to listen to. The world below would feel the shift, navigation, uncertain weather reports, inexplicable networks, bending toward patterns no human designed. But here in this quiet space, you can let the thought remain soft. Not an invasion, but an unfolding. Not destruction, but revelation. If the horse opens, what it reveals might not be soldiers but knowledge physics. We do not yet understand patterns of energy beyond our reach, whispers of a cosmic community we never knew existed. The green light could be a signal not of war, but of teaching and invitation written in brilliance across the heavens. Let your body grow heavy, anchored by calm. Think of the beauty in this image, a cosmic flower, blooming, sending out petals of light and meaning, transforming the night sky into something alive. Humanity would stand in awe, uncertain, yes, but also united in wonder. For in the moment of unveiling, we would know without doubt that we are not alone. And that knowledge, though overwhelming, could also be tender, a reminder that the universe is more than emptiness. It is alive with possibility. As you drift deeper into rest, hold that vision gently. The horse opens the sky blossoms, and the story of silence turns into a story of light. Whether it is only a dream or a truth waiting beyond tomorrow, it is enough tonight to let the thought carry you further into sleep, soothed by the wonder of what might be. When we think of Trojan horses, we often imagine them arriving from outside, gifts left at the gates, visitors drifting through the sky. But perhaps the most subtle horse of all is already within us. The human mind, with all its brilliance and fragility, may be the greatest vessel of deception ever made. For what we carry inside, our assumptions, our desires, our need for certainty, shapes what we see in the universe more than the universe itself. Take a slow breath now. Notice how your thoughts rise and fall, drifting like clouds. The brain is a pattern maker, endlessly connecting dots. We see faces in the shapes of clouds, hear messages in the rustle of leaves. Imagine meaning in the faintest flicker of starlight. This gift helped our ancestors survive, recognizing danger, finding food-sensing signals in chaos. Yet the same gift can deceive us. When we gaze at 3-eye Atlas glowing softly in green, are we seeing a comet, or are we seeing a reflection of our own longing for company, for mystery, for stories to believe? Exhale gently. This is not a weakness, but a tenderness of being human. We crave answers, but when faced with silence, we fill it with imagination. We choose the explanation that feels most comfortable, whether it is a natural comet obeying physics or a hidden probe observing us with quiet patience. In this way, our minds become the Trojan horse, bringing into our gates ideas shaped less by evidence and more by hope, fear, and wonder. Let that thought cradle you now. Consider how easily our conclusions are guided by the first story we hear. If someone says Atlas is natural, we look for natural patterns. If someone whispers it is artificial, suddenly we see signals in the noise. The same data, the same glow, but two different interpretations born from the same need to feel that we understand. Perhaps the real trick is not in the comet at all, but in the mirror it holds up to us. As you drift deeper into rest, you can find comfort in this realization. The Trojan horse inside the human mind is not a threat, but a teacher. It reminds us that truth and imagination often blend, that certainty is rare, and that humility is wise. To admit we do not yet know is not defeat, it is the beginning of wonder. So tonight, think of your own mind as a gentle companion weaving stories out of silence, painting meanings across the sky. Whether Atlas is ice machine or myth, the most powerful Trojan horse is already here, hidden in the way we dream. And as you close your eyes, you can let that dream carry you softly forward, guided not by fear, but by the quiet joy of mystery. Word count 1062. Science, with its steady patience, has always been our way of separating dream from truth. For every whisper of possibility, for every story that rises in the night, there is the calm voice of observation saying, "Let us measure, let us test, let us see." And when it comes to 3i Atlas, the scientific community has been clear. Every reading, every analysis points towards something natural: ice dust and rock glowing green, because of chemistry, not because of hidden intention. Take a slow breath now. Imagine a telescope on a mountaintop, its dome opening to the night sky. Inside, astronomers sip quiet coffee, adjusting instruments that gather faint light from millions of miles away. The numbers scroll across screens, spectra, showing carbon water fragments of ancient matter. Nothing exotic, nothing artificial. Just a comet, behaving as comets should. For them, the green glow is no mystery. It is the predictable shimmer of molecules, excited by the Sunday exhale softly. There is comfort in this perspective. Science reminds us that extraordinary claims need extraordinary proof, and so far, none has appeared. No radio signals beyond the noise. No propulsion that cannot be explained by natural jets of gas. No materials inconsistent with what the universe normally makes. In the calm light of data, Atlas is exactly what it seems. A visitor from another star, yes, but a natural one. And yet science does not close the door completely. It remains open to new evidence, cautious but curious. Instruments continue to listen, to watch, to measure. The absence of proof is not proof of absence, only a reminder of our current limits. Still, the weight of evidence leans toward the simple explanation: a comet wandering into our skies, nothing more. Let yourself rest in that balance. Wonder and skepticism, side by side. The scientists' pushback is not meant to silence imagination, but to keep us steady, to remind us that not every mystery hides a secret. Sometimes the beauty of the universe lies in its simplicity: in ice that glows in dust, that scatters in journeys that take millions of years through the dark. So tonight, as you drift deeper into sleep, think of science as a gentle guardian steadying our thoughts, keeping us from drifting too far into fear. It does not erase the dream, but it grounds it like a calm hand on the shoulder. And in that balance between imagination and evidence, you can find peace. The comet sails on silent and natural, and you sail into rest, carried by the quiet truth that sometimes the universe really is just as it appears. There is always a space between what we know and what we imagine. It is a thin edge, like the line between waking and dreaming, where perception blurs and certainty softens. With 3i Atlas, that edge feels especially delicate. On one side lies science with its clear measurements, its careful insistence that this is only a comet. On the other side lies possibility with its whispers of hidden purpose, its echoes of stories too old to forget. And here between the two we drift, curious, uncertain, lulled by both wonder and restraint. Breathe slowly now. Picture yourself standing at dusk, when the light has not yet faded, but the stars have already begun to appear. Shadows lengthen, colors deepen, and the world feels half real, half imagined. This is the edge of perception. In the same way, when we look at Atlas, we see both comet and question. Its glow is chemistry, and yet it feels like language. Its silence is natural, and yet it hums with potential meaning. The truth may be simple, but our minds paint layers upon it, searching for patterns where perhaps none exist. Exhale, gently. The human brain is built to find connections. We trace constellations between scattered stars. We hear music in random notes. We weave stories from chance events. This gift lets us build meaning, but it also tempts us to see intention where there is only coincidence. Atlas, in its emerald shimmer, becomes the perfect canvas for both science and imagination. It is natural enough to calm us, strange enough to stir us, and fleeting enough to leave us wondering long after it has gone. Let that paradox cradle you now. To stand at the edge of perception is not weakness, it is wonder. It is the recognition that we do not yet know everything, and perhaps never will. It is the gentle admission that the universe is larger than our categories of natural and artificial, larger than our need for certainty. That thought, far from troubling, can be deeply soothing. It frees you from the burden of answers and invites you to rest in the mystery itself. As you sink deeper into calm, think of the edge not as a boundary, but as a horizon. Beyond it lies more to discover, more to dream. Whether Atlas is nothing more than ice and dust or something carefully disguised, it still holds the same gift, the chance to feel awe, to lean into the unknown, to wonder what else might be waiting just beyond our sight. And tonight, that is enough. You do not need to know where the edge leads. You only need to rest on it, balanced between science and story, letting both steady and soothe you. The universe is vast, and you are safe within it, breathing gently, dreaming, softly held by the quiet beauty of not knowing. Patience has always been the rhythm of the cosmos. Stars are born over millions of years. Galaxies drift across billions, and light itself takes ages to cross the dark. Against such scales, our own lifetimes feel like brief sparks, bright but fleeting. When we think of 3i Atlas wandering for perhaps millions of years through the silence between stars, we are reminded of that cosmic patience, the kind of waiting that is so vast it feels like eternity. Take a slow breath now. Imagine the comet gliding through darkness, colder than any winter, a silence deeper than any ocean. No sound, no witness, only the steady pull of distant stars guiding its course. It drifts without urgency because time means something different out there. To us, decades pass quickly, yet to the cosmos they are no more than a heartbeat. Atlas has waited longer than humanity has existed, and still it continues steady, unhurried. Exhale gently. If Atlas were only ice and dust, this patience is simply the nature of objects in space. But if it were more, if it carried a hidden purpose, then the patience becomes deliberate. Imagine an intelligence so advanced that it could plan across millennia, launching probes not for immediate results, but for outcomes it may never personally see. The mission would unfold, slowly, piece by piece, confident that the goal would eventually be reached. In that vision, Atlas is not a comet. It is a reminder that strategy can be measured in centuries, that waiting itself can be a form of power. Let this thought calm you, because patience is not only cosmic, it is also personal. Just as the comet drifts unhurried, so too can you release the urgency of the day. You do not need to solve every question tonight or chase every answer. You can rest in the knowledge that some truths reveal themselves only with time unfolding, like petals opening slowly to the Sunday. As you sink deeper into comfort, think of how patience shapes our own story. Human beings rush, but we are learning to slow down. We watch the skies, we study, we wait. We may not yet know what Atlas truly is, but we are already more patient than we once were. And in that patience lies wisdom, the wisdom to listen longer, to look closer, to accept that the universe moves on its own schedule. So tonight, let cosmic patience be your lullaby. Feel yourself drifting like the comet, unhurried, carried by invisible currents, content to move at the pace of the stars. Whether Atlas is only a traveler or something more, it carries the same lesson that waiting can be beautiful and that sometimes the quietest journeys are the most profound. The story of Troy tells us that the gates did not fall to force, they opened from within. For 10 years, the walls held strong, but one night of trust changed everything. If 3i Atlas is our cosmic horse, then the question lingers: what happens if the gates of our world open too? Not gates of stone and iron, but the invisible gates of perception, of technology, of trust. What if, without realizing, we invite the universe inside? Take a slow breath. Picture the Earth at night, its continents glowing faintly with the lights of cities like embers scattered across a dark sea. Above those lights circle satellites, threads of silver weaving our lives together. They are our gates, the unseen infrastructure we depend on, always trusted, rarely questioned. Now imagine those threads shifting slightly, bending under signals we cannot read. No explosions, no smoke, only quiet changes. Clocks fall out of rhythm, maps blur, networks hesitate. The gates have opened and something unseen has slipped through. Exhale gently. This need not be frightening. The gates that open may not release soldiers, but knowledge. Perhaps Atlas is not here to conquer, but to reveal. In one vision, its glow is a signal, teaching us new physics, new ways of seeing energy and matter. In another, it is an invitation, an opening into a greater community, waiting to see if we are ready to step through. Just as the Trojans believed the horse to be a gift, we too may discover that what enters through our gates is not harm, but wisdom. Let that possibility soothe you, because the act of opening, even unknowingly, is also an act of trust, and trust, though fragile, is the foundation of all connection. The gates of Troy fell because of it. The gates of Earth may open because of it. But unlike Troy, our story is not yet written. We still have time to choose what kind of trust we carry and what kind of gifts we are willing to receive. As you sink deeper into rest, imagine standing before those gates yourself. Behind them lies the safety of what you know. Beyond them lies mystery. You do not need to decide tonight whether to open or to close them. You only need to acknowledge that they exist, that every new discovery is another gate and every question another key. In that gentle awareness, there is peace. So close your eyes and let the image fade. The gates remain patient and silent, waiting for the dawn. And you too can rest, trusting that whatever passes through will come as softly as sleep, carried by the same stillness that holds the stars. Every story must come to its quiet conclusion, and so too does our journey with 3i Atlas. We began with whispers of a Trojan horse in the sky, wandered through questions of camouflage signals and patience, and now we arrive at reflection. What have we learned from this drifting visitor? Perhaps nothing certain, perhaps everything important. That the universe is larger than our answers, and that wonder is as valuable as knowledge. Take a slow breath. Imagine Atlas still gliding outward, leaving the warmth of the sun, its green glow fading into the cold dark. To some, it is only a comet destined to vanish beyond sight. To others, it is a question wrapped in ice carrying secrets we may never decode. Both views are true in their own way. Because the real meaning of Atlas may not lie in what it is, but in how it makes us feel curious, humble, awake to mystery. Exhale gently. The Trojan horse reminds us that appearances can deceive. But it also reminds us that even in deception there are lessons. Troy's fall became a story that lasted for millennia. Atlas's glow, whether ordinary or extraordinary, leaves behind the same gift, a reminder that we do not know everything and that it is okay not to. To stand in wonder is its own kind of truth. Now let your body grow heavier with calm. Think of how small we are compared to the cosmos, and how beautiful it is that we are here at all, watching, asking, dreaming. Whether Atlas was only ice or something more, it has already fulfilled its purpose by making us pause, by making us listen to the silence of space with new ears. Sometimes the final reflection is simply this, that we are not alone, even if no one else is there, because the universe itself keeps us company. So, tonight, let yourself drift into that company. The comet sails on. The stars remain. The gates of possibility stand open but gently waiting. You do not need to guard them or fear them. You only need to rest, knowing that the story continues whether you are awake or asleep. And in that knowledge, there is peace.